Visit with your grandmother.
I did. She gets confused at moments, but for the most part, she's pretty sharp. Actually, she's not my grandmother. She's my great aunt. Rachel, her daughter, is my mother's cousin.
Wow, well that's wonderful. A lot of our residents don't get many visits, even from their children and grandchildren.
Well, I saw her often when I was growing up. I've always felt close to her. I call her Aunt Betty, just like my mother did.
Well, thank you for visiting, and I hope you come again soon.
Yes, I certainly hope to. I grew up in New Jersey, but I live in Seattle, and I'm not on the East Coast often. Ben and Rachel are in Florida right now, otherwise they'd be here with me.
My husband and I have been to Seattle several times. Do you work in computers?
A lot of people do work in high tech, but I don't. There's only one jazz club left in the whole city, and it's mine. One question. Why was there a red border on Betty's name tag? I didn't see that on any of the other residents.
Oh, just an administrative thing. Certain residents have colored borders on their badge for different purposes, like, medication schedules.
Okay, so what does Betty's red border mean?
Well, it means she's a runner.
She's what?
Betty Goldman has a history of leaving the building, the entire property, in fact, without authorization. Not easy for a woman with a locker and an oxygen concentrator, but she manages it.
I'm not entirely surprised.
Betty isn't strong enough to open the outer door. It's actually designed that way. And of course, our staff would never permit her to leave the building. But Betty tries to slip past the reception area and follow visitors out of the building. Usually it's a delivery person.
Do Rachel and Ben know that she's a runner?
Oh, of course.
Betty said something about being in a police station. I assumed that she imagined it. Did she slip through the door and wind up in a police station?
This is awkward, but yes.
Wow! So she really is a runner. How often does she run? How many times has she slipped past you folks?
Mr. Abrams, our staff is well-trained and alert, but Betty is very, if I may use the word, sneaky. She's actually our most successful runner. She's left the buildings four times this year, and 3 of those times she left the premises. I want you to understand, it did not take us long to notice that she was gone. The staff responded quickly, and we did everything we could to locate her. When we found her, we made sure the return was gentle and friendly. The border on her name badge is one of the ways we're addressing the problem.
But she did get as far as the police station, or far enough to wind up at the police station. Do Rachel and Ben know about the incident?
Mr. Abrams, actually, they don't. We provide them with general information about these incidents. When I explain, they don't ask a lot of questions, and I don't see any need to upset them with the details when they were not showing that much interest.
They might have shown some interest if you told them about the situation.
Well, Mr. Abrams, David, Mr. and Mrs. Schwartz are somewhat difficult clients. I think you can guess what I'm referring to. They don't always understand the complexities of managing a facility like this one. They've talked about moving Betty to another senior residence, and it might be in everyone's interest if you don't mention any of this to them.
I do understand what you mean. I'm in the process of forgetting that Betty has achieved notable success as a runner. But it won't be my fault if Betty mentions the police station to Rachel.
I'm pretty confident she's not going to do that. Betty knows how to keep her secrets, and she does like living here. She likes us. And despite the extra trouble she's caused, I really like Betty. We talk from time to time.
Well then, I'll tell you something. In a way, Betty has always been a runner. She always looked for opportunities to escape her restrictions, her walls. When she was a young woman, and she was a beautiful young woman, she worked for a company that sold fabrics to courtiers. The owner, a woman, took real interest in Betty, took her to parties in Greenwich Village, the real bohemian life. Betty never went to college, but she was always well read. And she always had, you might say, a natural grace. We don't know how far it went, but she definitely was part of the village scene. Until the family found out, then it ended.
I had no idea, but I do understand the natural grace.
Then she married Harry. That was the conventional thing to do, and she did it. Harry was handsome, had a business, a children's clothing store. He was a good man, but she would have liked more from the marriage.
Yes, I've heard about Harry.
When Rachel met Ben, Harry was dead set against the marriage. Ben was really, really poor. His people were from the Lower East Side. Worked in the garment district. No one knew that he would be successful. He was in the army at the time. Betty helped Rachel elope. Ben had been sent to Germany. Betty had enough of her own money for a plane ticket. Ben and Rachel were married by the Jewish chaplain right on the base. Eloping was radical back then, in their culture at least. Rachel would have done it. Probably wouldn't have married Ben at all if it wasn't for Betty.
I do love Betty.
Just one more story?
Oh, yeah.
Betty is the only member of the family, well, her and me, who aren't big supporters of Israel. Betty will say she's sympathetic with the Palestinians. Just a few years back, when Ben, Rachel, their kids, and Betty all took a big trip to Israel, Betty said she wanted to see the West Bank. You could imagine how that went over. So one morning, Betty left the hotel, found a Palestinian cab driver, and had him take her all the way to Ramallah.
Oh, my.
For the whole day. Betty didn't have a cell phone, she didn't call, the family went nuts not knowing where she was. But Betty had a good look at Ramallah. She and the cab driver had coffee at a cafe, she talked to all kinds of people that day. Rachel and Ben were furious. So I do understand. Betty is a runner. She's always looked for the chances to be free.
Well, it's important to keep her safe. But I understand, Betty, and I'm glad you understand our situation.
Oh, Mrs. Richards. I'm so glad that you met David. He's my grandnephew.
Yes, Betty, we've had a wonderful talk. About you, in fact.
About me? Oh, well, I hope it was good. I hope. David, I don't want to take up your time, but there's one more thing I want to talk to you about. I need you to show in my room. Would you please follow me?
Sure, Aunt Betty.
It was so nice to meet you, David.
David, I want you to take me to the train station. I'm going down to New Orleans to meet old friends. People I haven't seen in years. I know a way to get out of this building. Through a door, through the kitchen.
New Orleans?
Yes, I think that's the plan.
And Betty, I think all your old friends agreed that they each find someplace peaceful, someplace beautiful, that they'd sit for a long time and remember the good times you all had together.
Yes, I think that was the plan.
I bet Rachel would love to take you to a really nice park. I'm sure she would.
I bet Rachel, not Rachel, no, we need to go today. We need to go, and all I want to do is go with you. Rachel and Ben are all about family dinners and doctor's appointments. You're about feeling free. I want to do that with you. I want to ride down the highway at 70 miles an hour with the windows open. And not just go to a park. I want something bigger and more memorable for that.
Okay. Do you know how long the battery lasts on that thing?
5 hours. I know it's charged.
You sure about the battery?
David, I'm an old lady. I'm an old woman. I don't have much time left. I think it's one more adventure is coming to me and nobody's going to do it but you.
Okay. You understand this isn't a small thing. I'm not on any list of people who can take you out of this building. This is a real jailbreak. I promise this will not go over well with Ms. Richards. And she probably won't be able to hide the escapade from Rachel and Ben.
We'll take Mrs. Richards with us. No, she's too busy. But when we get back, I'll explain it and that will be okay.
I'm not exactly betting on that. But she does like you. What about Rachel and Ben?
What are they going to do? I'm an old lady. I'm the mom. I'm still the mom. Let's have one more really special day together. One really special 5 hours. I promise it will be okay.
Damn, Aunt Betty, this is totally crazy.
No, it's not crazy. It's living.
And it definitely won't be in New Orleans.
Okay, not New Orleans, but it will be a day I won't forget. First, we need to go down to the elevator to the basement. You bring the car around.
Yes, Aunt Betty, it'll be quite a day. We'll drive up High Tor Mountain. It looks out over the Hudson. If you want, I'll write down all of your memories. And maybe we can send your friends a letter.
Yes, a letter. Just a short one. To everyone. And better if you write, because my hands are pretty shaky. And better if you keep the letter, because I don't have a single address. But yes, a letter to... First page. The people I remember and the people I have forgotten. To the artists, the poets, and to my many boyfriends. Sorry. One more thing. I wanted champagne in 2 glasses for a toast.
First, the answer is yes. How can we not? Second, the question. Are you supposed to drink alcohol?
No. Alcohol is not at the approved seating table. So I have to take my meals at tables with no wine. But no one ever tells me not to take it during Passover. So I can have 2 glasses. First, the toast to all my friends of long ago. And the second toast to us in our need to be free and to have our special day together.
Yes.
Come on out and introduce yourself.
The oxygen.
I'm Mark President.
And I'm still Melanie Field.
So thank you for coming out. I have to say I was really concerned. I thought there would be no one in the audience and they would be just performing for me. So thank you for coming. 2 announcements. There are 2 different types of Hanukkah candles.